Today's lesson is brought to you a little later than scheduled and an octave lower by our sponsors, me, myself, and I. Yours truly, James Carvin. I apologize for this brief commercial interruption. I must urge you to support the Pamalogy Society so that I can devote more time to video development and making the contacts necessary to start up this unique nonprofit organization and less time driving for Uber and Lyft. To be entirely candid, my wife is on disability, having suffered a stroke 16 years ago, which left her paralyzed. My two sons, who are now 21 and 25, have struggled with disabilities of their own and still live with us. One is entirely unemployed and the other works part-time. I can only complete the courses in what little spare time I have. This week, my body decided to catch the flu and force me to rest. I still hope to complete part 5 by October 4th. Say, did you hear about Sarah Thomas? She's a cancer survivor who just became the first person to cross the English Channel 4 times without stopping. It took her 54 hours. I must have been doing her sleeping for her. Anywho, there are superheroes everywhere, but nobody gets where they're going without help. If the Pamalogy Society is going to be kickstarted, I need to ask for some financial support. And also help me make some contacts. I need artists, musicians, poets, photographers, film students, grant writers, philosophy and theology students, journalists, communications majors, and experts, and organizers to call or text me. The phone number on your screen right now, 561-906-2888. And donations can be sent for the time being by Venmo or Zelle to jamescarvin@gmail.com. If you send any donations, please give your name and contact info. Comments are also appreciated. I need to know who's sending me money. Okay, no more commercial interruptions until part 5 is complete. Fair? This is part 3, lesson 2. Karma versus Pamalogy. Let's roll. If every good thing will happen, if it's already happened for all eternity, what's the point of being or doing good in any moment? Are we as conscious perceivers progressing from life form to life form? Is there any connection between them? Is there karma that carries from a past life into this one, and then from this one into a future life form? Whether there is or not, why should we seek to do what's good? I'll answer those questions using the guiding principle that I taught you. If it would be good, it's true and better. Now, we tend to think in terms of life forms with lifespans, but what about moments of conscious opportunity? We think of a soul migrating from one body to another after it dies, right? But what about migrating everywhere at once? With full focus on individual moments, and this one may be totally new to you, what about also possessing multiple awareness of multiple moments? That one's hard to explain. Let me go back. Imagine being 2 people at once, each with the power of unique, subjective, individual experience, and on top of that, a third relational and analytical sense that's fully aware of the interior experience of both. Now imagine that third analytical, conscious perceiver perceiving and analyzing 3 or more, on up to the total number of conscious perceivers that there are, however many that is. Imagine many analytical multi-perceivers with their own independent minds. Well, I told you this was something you might not have heard of before. rewind if you need to catch my drift, okay? Take your time. Is such a thing a possibility? Well, yes, it is. Anything's possible, even the impossible. What would be better? Well, here's another thought that actually could be totally new to you. Would both moving forward progressively and migrating everywhere all at once be a good thing? Would both be better than one or the other? I'll bet you a hat that you never asked yourself that question. Would both simultaneity and progression over time be better than one or the other? I think both is better. Therefore, I think both are so. And the more you think about it, the better you'll realize reality could be. We think of our own lifetime progressing from a young age to an older one until we die. Wouldn't it be good if we could live all of our moments over again, repeating everything that's good in them? Yes? Then we can. Wouldn't it be good if we could relive our youth and also being aware of our adult while we're reliving our youth? We can. The if it is good, it is so principle accommodates multiple realities. It's one or the other, and it's both. The possibilities and the many laws of multiverses allow this. What is conscious perception? It's the vast knowledge of perfection being shared in various ways with perceivers. Some religions teach that there's only one perceiver, one self. That self is the all-perceiving, the one deity. Self is God. God is self. They say you and I are God. But wouldn't it also be good if there were many perceivers, each having the opportunity to make choices in every conceivable and inconceivable circumstance? Yes, it would be good. These selves are not omniscient except in the one God. They're not the whole of goodness. They're not the one perfect God. There's only one perfection. We've been through that. The one perfection includes all lesser perception. It shares the perception with as many conscious perceivers as it takes to exhaust every good possibility. Remember? We are parts that belong to the whole of perfection. We receive all that we have, all that we are, all that we do from the goodness of perfection. It's as if perfection lends its goodness to us. We then choose what we as conscious perceivers will do with each and any moment. Each moment we perceive, every circumstance, it belongs to perfection. It doesn't belong to us. It's shared with us by that which has always possessed it. Perfection is a universe unto itself, as the flawless wholeness of good possibility. It shares the goodness of its own universe with the universe the perceiver is conscious of and with the perceiver. Both the universe being perceived and the perceiver share the goodness of perfection. There's not anything any perceiver has, and not anything any universe has, that doesn't first belong to perfection. The conscious perceiver is the steward of the circumstances and moments that are granted by perfection. The perceiver is granted the opportunity to respond to each circumstance in an awesome way for the benefit of the universe in which it exists. The failure to respond to a circumstance with goodness is poor stewardship of an opportunity. We do much better in such, some times than others. And when we fail to seize an opportunity to do something good in a circumstance, our sin is against the maximization of awesomeness and against maximized awesomeness. When we sin against maximized awesomeness, we deprive the universe we perceive in of the goodness perfection would have shared in it. The history of the universe that we're perceiving in is forever affected by our action or inaction. Now let's think about karma here. If we do not fail to seize the opportunity in a universe to something good, to do something good, then something worth repeating happens. If we don't fail, it's worth repeating. Something that has always belonged to perfection. So it has been repeated. But if we do fail to do the good thing that we could have done, then there's no awareness or no awesomeness to repeat. Now, the repetition of the awesome thing takes place from all eternity in the perfection that always was and always is. The universe in which the perceiver has an opportunity, on the other hand, has a beginning and an end that is infinitely far into the future in relation to it. And because of this, its imperfection will never come to pass. So it's flawless. Or perhaps the imperfect universe in which the perceiver perceives is entirely simulated. Or maybe it's just perfection's dream, not existing. It's but a figment of non-obligatory possibility. We can't take away any of the vast goodness perfection possesses because perfection lacks no good thing. But we can prevent the universe that we have conscious perception in from enjoying the parts of that goodness over which we're stewards. The word karma is associated with a spiritual practice that assumes a progression of souls from one life to another. It can be one life at a time or one moment at a time, either one. In the West, we see karma as divine justice. We like to think that wicked or good deeds will be noticed by some spiritual force that rewards or punishes souls, either in this life or the next. We thirst for justice, and I think we're a little bloodthirsty in that way. In spiritual discipline, the goal is to exercise the heart and the mind in such a way that awareness, compassion, and detachment from the world increases and selfish impulses and attachments decrease. Karma is not actually a punishment or a reward so much as a carrying forward of a spiritual disposition from one form of conscious perception to another through actions. Western religion places greater emphasis on punishments and rewards than Eastern religions do. The aim of Hinduism is divine unity. This is what they call moksha, as in Buddhism. It's achieved by pursuing the spiritual ideal or practice that they call dharma in both of those traditions. In both Buddhism and Hinduism, karma is not a punishment, it's an action. Westerners, being obsessed with punishments and blame, seek fairness and justice, so they look at karma as a just reward for things people do. But to be fair to Hindus and Buddhists, karma is not a punishment and it's not a reward. It's the spiritual energy in action and its results. They say that action, or karma, has a reaction, the fruit of karma, which is called karma phala. The fruits of actions also mature into an overall spiritual energy, and the result they call karma vipaka. So these distinctions are, I think, sort of important to be fair and to communicate properly. And the main thing is to look at how justice is dealt with in Pamalogy, which is why I've titled this Karma versus Pamalogy, because all of the above distinctions apply in Pamalogy regarding the multiverses and the many ways simultaneity can occur and how things go from moment to moment. What does the logic of perfection have to say about justice, about punishment, and about karma? Everything, so long as there is good in it. And more importantly, what would be better? These guiding rules. Would it be better for a conscious perceiver to learn Dharma from life to life and eventually achieve divine consciousness? Or would it be better if divinity simply gave it to? If it was a free gift of divinity to us that we shared? For all of its obsession with blame, Western spirituality has one very powerful distinction. Divine unity is a gift. It's shared by the one in possession of divinity, God. There's no way to achieve it. It's not something achieved or earned. Perfection as a whole is not unaware of itself in its omniscience. There's only one conscious perceiver that is God, as the self-understanding proto-energetic reality. Divine unity is what conscious perception is before any spiritual practice even begins, because conscious perception is freely given as the performance of abstract possibility. Conscious perception is itself born of perfection. Conscious perception is the sharing of divinity. It is union with God. It's part of perfection, a portion of it. There's no remaining work to be done. Pamalogy starts with divine unity, moksha. It calls the individual perceiver to awareness of that fact. Moksha does not have to be earned by lengthy spiritual practices. It's a free gift. It's given to the perceiver as an opportunity to willfully join in awesomeness. And that, with the perceiver, it might be maximized. With the perceiver. And it is. In one universe or another, it always has been. So you get a second chance. Would it be good if awesomeness was maximized? Of course. It's always been maximized by perfection. Would such maximization include the willful participation of innumerable perceivers? Yesy doodles. That would be very good. Perceivers, therefore, willfully participate in the opportunities for awesomeness continually presented to them by moments and circumstances. Any karmic energy that exists in those circumstances is just part of the complexity of all possibility, wherein perfection is shareable through the seizing of the opportunity. As they say in the West, carpe diem, seize the day.